Well, thank you for watching the videos we posted on the pandemic and the Augusta economy and my forecast for next year. I've had several questions come in, so I'd like to answer a couple of those right now. Many people have asked about the effect of the Masters tournament on the local economy in terms of the cancellation in April, the tournament going ahead without crowds in November, and potentially what the effect would be in April. What I can say is that traditionally we see about 3,500 extra jobs in the leisure and hospitality industry in April compared to the 2 months either side, which is March and May. If you think about average wages in leisure and hospitality, that's $326 per week. I'm a trained economist. I can multiply two numbers together. That gives you a measure of about $1 million. That's very, very low end because some of these people will be earning more than traditional leisure and hospitality wages. Some will be working more than a week, 7 days. The Masters done a good job of increasing Masters week to 10 and 11 days. But it's a good kind of starting point for thinking about the effect that it's had of no crowds and cancellations. If we think about maybe a third of crowds turning up this year, the PGA says they're going to have a third of crowds turning up at PGA events, then maybe you could see 1,000, 1,500 jobs increase in April this year relative to previous years that we've seen. Obviously, the effect is much broader than just employment jobs in the leisure and hospitality industry. People rent their homes, there's expenditures from people that come into town. All of this is data numbers we don't know, so putting a precise estimate of any specific impact is beyond the scope of what I can do here. I've had a question come in about the healthcare industry, which I highlighted on a previous video. We saw jobs fall, rise a little in the summer and decline again, and it seemed to be a paradox of the healthcare sector. So some of it is due to the fact that hospitals had to cancel particular operations and surgeries and procedures. Some offices were closed, some support staff were laid off. And then, there may be some health jobs that were in, less tangential specific health sectors such as massage therapists and things like that were impacted as well. It's a kind of good news, bad news situation about, whether a recovery will be seen this year. The good news is that we're a particularly unhealthy population here in Augusta. The good news is we're a particularly unhealthy population here in Augusta, and so there are opportunities for improved health care. County rankings for Richmond County put Richmond County 129th out of 159 for the state of Georgia. Burke County is 151 out of 159. So there's a lot of improvement that we could do with regards to health. However, a lot of health improvements is not to do with quality of care or health care, it's to do with social determinants of health and health behaviors. It's about 70% of health outcomes comes from these two factors. So it's things like economic stability, it's things like physical and neighborhood environment, it's things about behaviors such as smoking or drinking or obesity. And so given the fact that we're not particularly healthy, the health sector should come back, but that's not necessarily good news for our health. Another question I've had is about the stimulus effect, particularly with the Fed. The Fed came out yesterday, as I'm speaking, saying they were going to keep interest rates low. They didn't see any issues with inflation. Parts of the country is certainly still struggling with the pandemic. I've emphasized that maybe here we're not doing as badly as anywhere else, but interest rates are a national policy. We don't tailor interest rates particularly to different regions. So interest rates are going to remain low for a long time. That's what the Fed says. And the question is this good or bad? Interest rates and taking on debt is not bad. It's your ability to repay it. So you can take on a mortgage for a house that becomes too onerous, and it's your ability to repay that causes the problems with the debt. You should take out loans for things like investments or education, where your return on that is going to be greater than the interest rate that you're going to pay. So in terms of a stimulus, Interest rates are low. Maybe it's a good time to issue government bonds at low interest rates, but we've got to make sure that we use those funds for productive purposes. There's an emphasis by some economists on infrastructure. We've seen the problems we've had with infrastructure over in Texas, with the electricity because of poor infrastructure, opportunities to spend money on infrastructure, opportunities to spend money more on getting people back to work. I would see something along the lines of the Payment Protection Plan, allowing businesses to hire and pay people to work, being productive, rather than paying people unemployment insurance to not work, which is not productive. So I think there's no good or bad news with regards to interest rates. It's how we use the money that we raise for productive purposes to grow the economy.